We are back.
Yes, we are. Glad to be here.
And our theme is change, and what a change
I
from
know.
last week.
Oh my gosh. I thought we'd get blown off the porch, and poor Julie was so wet. It was very courageous.
It was, yes. It
very.
was quite the start to our series on change, and we had Brother Tom,
Yes.
the person who is the most resistant to change that we know.
And he has made a lot of changes, and we're happy for him.
Yes.
Yes.
And we are going to forge on because we have a lot more to talk about, because we all know that change is inevitable.
Oh.
I mean, if there's one thing the pandemic taught us, it's that life is full of changes.
Yes, yes. One day is so different from the next.
Right.
So,
but I love what you said, Mom, because you see each day as an adventure, and change is an adventure. Where a lot of people just cling to, comfort and what they know. But I think if you have a change of perspective and see change as an adventure, it can make all the difference in the world.
I see change as an opportunity.
Yes, I love that.
You never know what's coming. I can tell you about my experience.
Right. Okay. So last week we talked a lot about physical change in location, physical moves, and how you're the kind of person who blooms where you're planted, because you moved how many times? Like
18.
18 times. That is a lot of moves.
Some were better than others, but I have to admit there wasn't one change that hurt me or made me sad. They were different. That's what life is. Different. Not bad or,
Well, and change often ushers in growth, because sometimes it's uncomfortable.
Yes.
And when we're uncomfortable, that's an opportunity, again, that word opportunity, to grow.
Yes.
And so today we're going to focus on changes in our careers or callings.
Oh, my.
Because, boy, do we have some stories here.
Oh, we do.
So do you want to go first, Mama? Because your career, growing up, you've been a lifelong teacher.
Yes. Well, I started late. I was raising my children and working as an administrative assistant to the president of a food company. And I liked it. When the babies came, 3 in 1 year, life changed.
Life changed.
Yeah, and it was a great blessing, but I no longer could go out to work. So I changed and worked at home. And then just enjoyed teaching so much. Retired at 70, and I thought, well, what am I going to do?
So you were a lifelong teacher, and you retired.
Yeah.
But then something happened, because there was always, even though you love teaching, and this is Teacher of the Year award many times over, taught every grade, was always, I have vivid memories growing up of you on the phone with parents, but not the call that you don't want to get about how bad your kid is, or what happened maybe that didn't go right in school. Mom was always on the phone encouraging and sharing the good news. So what an incredible, encouraging teacher. But there was always something simmering back there that you wanted to do.
Oh, yes. From when I was a little girl and used to write on a tablet, I made up stories. And I was alone. I didn't have playmates. And it kept me busy, and it kept me thinking. And I always said, someday I'm going to write a book. Well, you know how kids talk and everything. It never happened. I became so busy with my 7 children and my teaching job and my children that I taught that I didn't get around to it. But this lady here made it happen.
Someday happened.
Oh, well.
It's happening.
Christmas came. What year was that, Julie?
2015. It was a Christmas gift.
Yeah, that's right. 2015, and I got an invitation. Actually, I was already accepted to go to the Irma Bombeck writing workshop with my daughter, who by then was a very good writer. I think she was writing for our local newspaper and doing all kinds of blogs and writing. And I thought, when I got it, I thought, how am I going to fit in? I mean, I'm not a writer. I don't write anything except good news letters, you know, when I have something to say to a parent or whatever. But anyway, I went along and I loved the snacks. And I went to these
Wait a second.
beginner classes. And then we always had to write a sample after the presentation.
Right.
And I never raised my hand to read mine. And the more I heard from these other people, the less I wanted to, because they had vocabulary.
Well, there were a lot of seasoned, 350 people at this workshop.
Oh, my gosh.
You know, and the backstory is Mom loved Irma Bombeck growing up.
Yes,
and Irma Bombeck is just a legendary humor writer.
Life is just a bowl of cherries.
So why am I in the pits?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
so, but she was an amazing writer and influencer of her time when Mom was raising us, and so I thought, what a great gift.
Oh, it was.
But it was a bit intimidating because we were not seasoned writers, and then Mom sat in, I think, a workshop on the Facebook, as you called it.
The Facebook.
The whole thing was just a lot of information.
Oh, it was a blur. I had to keep eating my snacks, and you know, it was like all day, and then we had fun in the evening with their with their guest speakers and that.
Yes.
But it kind of got me into the mode, but I was very intimidated. I could never write. I couldn't, and especially after hearing some of the writers.
Right. It was quite intimidating, but something happened that has to do with this.
Yes.
Mom was crowned queen of the 2016 Irma Bombeck Writers Workshop. You were 87.
I thought they picked me because I was the oldest person there. I said that to Julie.
No, they picked you because you were the perfect example of somebody who was starting a new career. So this is the epic change, people. Lifelong teacher, goes to a workshop and starts a new career at the age of 87. And I'll never forget when you stepped at the mic out and looked out on your subjects, 350 of them, and you said,
I'm going to be back as an author at the next workshop. And I thought afterwards, are you crazy? I mean, you're going to be a writer?
Yes.
But I was so thrilled and impressed that they had some faith in me to put me up there.
Absolutely. And you said, you stepped to the mic and you said, it's never too late. I just want to encourage all of you. And you've encouraged so many people through the years since then.
Yeah.
And guess who is going to be selling her books at this spring's Irma Bombeck Writers Workshop?
Yes, that's right.
Right here. Your new book, which will be coming out in December. So this is truly a life change. You became a writer by going to a workshop. And then you had an editor. I mean, you had people around you.
I had Julie around me. And I'll tell you, when she took that typewriter away from me and I was faced with a computer I didn't even know how to turn on.
Right.
That's when the metal hit the, whatever they say.
The rubber hit the road.
The rubber hit the road. And I had to put my money where my mouth was. And it kept her as busy as me. Because every time I needed something on the computer, I'd ring Julie up.
Well, there was a lot going on, but I think you bring up a good point that sometimes change, when you make a change, like a change in career, it ushers in all kinds of other changes that are maybe forced upon you. And one of them was the computer. And we talked about this last week, that we tend to cling to what is comfortable.
Oh, yes.
And your Royal typewriter was very comfortable. You'd been using it your whole life.
Yes. I didn't want that computer.
Right.
But if I was going to fulfill my promise, I needed to learn how to use it. I needed Julie, first of all, beside me. And if it weren't for this princess sitting here, that book and everything I did with my writing would have never happened. And I give her a lot of credit.
Well,
God put her next to me. She would last but not least in my 7 children count, but boy, did I have her. at my side.
Well, and I think you bring up a really good point that we can't do it alone.
No,
that when, especially a big change, a change in career, you need people to support you, to be around you. And it wasn't just me. It was a lot of people. It was editor Judy. We couldn't do what we do as writers without a great editor. Now we have a great publisher, David Brawler.
Yeah.
We have the whole Irma community cheering you on.
Yeah.
And every time we post something about your book, people are like, I want a copy, I want a copy. And even when Mom was in Chicken Soup twice, so this is not her first publication, there were several people in the Irma community that said, I want a signed copy from the Queen.
Yeah, I was so blessed. And God did it. I didn't. I was in the right place at the right time with the right princess.
Yes.
And, you know, it all happens. But I didn't back off. I just went ahead and made the change.
Right.
I
even though you were intimidated, and I love that. And again, every time there is change in our lives, expect obstacles because it's uncomfortable. And we were both uncomfortable on that first night. We were called the Irma Virgins.
Yeah.
And there were groups of people that had clearly been doing this and meeting every year. You know, it's every other year conference. They all knew each other, and we were kind of the newbies.
Yeah.
And so, but we forged on, and we took all that information and slowly began to apply it.
Wow.
But really, I think the biggest benefit of that workshop was all the network and the connections.
Oh, yes.
And the people who continue to support both of us.
Yes,
and
they
so
do.
that network, when there is change in your life, you need your people.
You need people.
Yes.
That's another thing that always goes along with change. We can't do it alone. And God doesn't want us to be alone.
Right.
He made us to be social, have friends, supporters.
Right.
And Julie, you've had a lot of changes in your life too.
I've had a lot, and specifically career changes. So I went to IU to be a biochem pre-med major, ended up a business major. So all of my biology classes became electives. I probably had the hardest schedule. And ended up working for Eli Lilly for 7 years before becoming a mom, which was another career change. That is definitely a huge change to be at home with the kids. But then after we moved to Japan, that was a big location change. And when we came back, and I spoke a little bit about my divorce last week, which was another huge change in my life, I started down a new career path. And so I was actually able to go back to Lilly. My boss called me. They had me on a family leave. They kept extending, and then finally said, okay, are you coming back? And I realized that I had a passion through my divorce for the Bible and teaching Bible study. And I wanted to get a deeper understanding, so I enrolled in seminary with the plan. Here's another word, when change, how about change? Hold your plans loosely. So my plan was to become to deepen my knowledge to write Bible study, because it was, you know, and so I went to seminary. And so while I was in seminary, I had a lot of people in my life, a lot of very wise people, pastors, godly counsel, say, Julie, you'd be a great pastor.
Yes.
And so I changed I changed from a master's degree, a master's of theology, to a master's of divinity.
Yeah.
And it took me 7 years with, you know, as a single parent. I finally finished, and by then I was on this
all kinds of honors, by the way.
Well, I was on this path, and then I realized that God said no.
No.
And so it was very interesting that I was listening to all these voices except for the one most important voice. And I ended up in seminary having two professors tell me, Julie, you're a writer.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of crazy. I said, me? I'm like this analytical calculus geek.
Yeah.
I'm not a writer. That was my worst class in high school. So on a kind of a whim, a curiosity, I went to the local paper and I gave them my resume, and I ended up having a meeting with the owners, and I said, I'm here with two goals: to be a contributor and to gain experience as an unpaid intern. And they said, well, we don't want you as an intern. We want you as one of our editors. And I said, well, I don't even know what that is. And I had zero writing experience. And
but
so they handed me the paper.
In her, rightfully so. And they changed Julie's life.
It really was my launch into writing.
Yes.
As Irma was your launch, the Irma
Yeah.
conference,
Yeah.
working at the paper. It was, it was a grueling job, and I did it for 2 years because it's always deadline driven. You finish publishing one paper, and you're immediately working on the next, even on vacations, and so it's very grueling. But I loved it. The owners, Steve and Brian, I will always be grateful to them.
I will too, because I attended lots of their fancy
Yeah, you got
parties.
some perks.
I got the perks.
You got the perks, and they love the Queen here.
Yeah.
But it was really, it was almost like an intense writing course for me, because I went from writing these 40-page papers in seminary to 400-word stories.
Yeah.
Like 40 pages, 400 words. It really taught me how to learn to write short, which is such an important skill with writing.
Interviewing. You were all over the place interviewing the subject of the week.
Absolutely, for cover stories and other stories. So it was such a change for me, and so it took a lot of openness throughout the whole process, and taking that next step. And I think that's what's really important, to be open to change, is to be open to the next step.
Yes.
Because you never know what kind of door it's going to open. And now I've kind of launched out as a freelance writer, and other doors have opened, and projects, and here's a God thing too. Another big change during that time was I changed churches.
Yes.
So I stepped out of the ordination process to become a pastor, and felt called to be a writer. And I left my beloved church, Second Pres, and started brand new. Walked into Traders Point Christian Church, didn't know a single person.
No.
And I remember going to a Bible study, and I came in late. And I snuck in the back door.
Wait off.
I'm working on it.
I know.
I'm going to change that.
Yeah.
I'm working on that.
I like that.
So I walked in, and I grabbed the first seat in the back of the room as I snuck in and sat down. And who was in the seat right next to me?
Your editor.
Judy.
I
didn't know it at the time, but Judy would make a huge difference in both of our lives. But God put her right in that seat. I needed an editor. I didn't even know I needed an editor.
That's right.
And there she was. And that was right when I was launching into the freelance world. So thank you, Lord.
Yes.
So, this whole idea of changing career, it's just, we have plans. And again, I had lots of plans for my life. I was going to be a doctor.
Yes. I remember
and so
that.
Instead of healing people now with, medicine and possible surgeries, I'm more of a healer with words.
Yeah, I was
trying to inspire people
for when I get older, and I thought maybe she could take care of me, but she's taking care of me in so many ways. I wouldn't be publishing that book without her. I wouldn't be getting up every morning and doing my prayers, devotions, breakfast, and running into the computer.
Don't run, Mama. Remember the
walk
fall.
Quickly. Yes, walk quickly.
Slow down. We've had many Porchcasts on slowing down. Do we need to redo that one? Because I don't think you've gotten it yet. You need to slow down.
I've gotten it.
But I think we both, our stories about our changes in careers.
Oh, yes.
And it's just amazing how God has, here we landed, and here we are on the porch.
Yes.
How did this happen? Now we're doing videos.
I don't know.
But it's been so much
fun. I'm open to anything that's coming.
Yeah.
I want to take a chance. I want to make a change if it's going to make me, those around me, and maybe the whole world better. That's what I'm here for. I'm not going to just be for myself. I want to put it out there for others.
Amen.
That's why I'm still around.
Yep.
Even though I am getting a little older.
We don't talk about age on the porch.
No, we don't.
We talk about stage. We're going to talk about life stages coming up.
Exactly.
So, but one big thing we do have coming up, which is very exciting, other than your book, is we have a new website. And this is part of our new career. So we have a current website, but we are launching a new website because there's so much content. And so we have a new website design coming, and you'll be able to see everything that we've been doing, our Porchcasts, our Biblecasts, our stories, books coming. So lots of great stuff coming. So
I can hardly wait.
We are so excited. Yeah. So we just hope that this week that there's something from our message that stays with you about change and being open to change and not clinging too tightly to your plans or your expectations or your comfort, because sometimes taking that step out of that comfort zone, as Tommy talked about last week, will open up huge blessings.
See change as a positive thing and be open to it. Maybe you can discuss it with a friend and even get support for it.
Yep.
You know.
Amen. Because we can't do it alone. We cannot do it alone. We've learned that. And we're very blessed with our community. And there's the hand. I can't do this Porchcast alone because I would continue to talk. And I need her to start the wave, to cut it off. So there we go. So there is the wave, people. Yeah. So we will be right back here on this porch next week with another message about change.
That's right.
So tune in. Until then, have a great week.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.